So here we are, back from our little field trip adventure. We got Caitlin, part of the safety team. Always looking to expand and learn more, so we had an opportunity to go to a scale house and check out the voluntary vehicle inspections. Is it voluntary? I don't know.
Technically, I bet it is, but practically, I can guarantee you one thing: like, not a single person on there was down for it for real.
We were asking, were they not? Did they ask them?
Walk up to the door. Hey, you want to do a voluntary inspection? And they're like, yeah. And I don't even think that they realized that it was voluntary. I think they were just like,
I don't think they were ready for what happens next.
Yeah. So I think it's like people are into tricks, and we just thought, okay, like that must be some kind of trick. So if I say no, then we're really gonna get me. So I'm just gonna say yes, and hopefully we're just gonna kind of take it easy.
There we go. So what are some of the things? What is one of your biggest takeaways, Caitlin?
So from me, as far as the takeaway, I really looked at the permit book situation. I know that our permit books, like, we like to keep them nice, organized, labeled. Most drivers didn't even have one. They were just pulling papers out left and right. Nothing was organized. Didn't know where anything was. So
That's perfect driver.
Yeah, there you go. But I mean, it's rampant. Like, these guys, man, it wasn't anywhere to be found. And something kind of interesting that someone said. I don't know how real it is or not, but they said on one of the check items you're supposed to have extra fuses. Mm-hmm. And if you could get popped for that, he was like, it doesn't say technically replaceable fuses. You can just have a bag of fuses in there and it would satisfy.
Is that really a thing? Because I don't think that's a case. Like, really, I don't think that's a case, even though as a driver, I always had them. Because that little thing like that, man, the light goes off, the fuse burned, you in the rain or something got shortened. You pop a new fuse and you're good to go. Now, because of a stupid fuse, you may have to call the road service on the scale, and that's going to cost you a lot of money, and it's a stupid $2 fuse, man.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But I don't think it's a rule about it. But, don't test it. Just get a bag of fuse and you're good, because it's good for you altogether. Yeah.
Yeah, and even for like Caitlin, let's say, I think a big walkaway also is like, correct me if I'm wrong, but equipment and how it looks. Like, how we pay for our trailer washes and we'll reimburse on all that. But for her to actually see at a scale house, like the volume of trucks coming in and out, and I mean, if you were the one picking who's getting pulled over.
Yeah, 100%. Definitely the drivers that, like, their trucks are dirty, or like every piece of the truck is a mismatched color. Like, you kind of want to keep it like, clean and professional, so they're not like, oh, come here.
Yeah, because I mean, even the trooper himself, right? There was two guys there, two different attitudes. Mm-hmm. I mean, tell them a little bit about that.
Yeah, one of the guys, like, happy to help. Like, we did our inspection, found some things, called him over. He's like, yeah, let's take a look at this. Other guy was more like, what do you want? Like, what did you find? And just like the attitude difference, very strange. How you can be like, one personality is this way and the other one's this way, but the driver could be acting, like normal. And he's just, sometimes they get tired too.
Yeah, I agree, because like rule number one, back in the day, obviously not right now, I would not suggest anybody to ever do this again or anything like that. But let's say you run on a really tight schedule back in the day on paper logs and stuff like that, and you really have to go somewhere, and you're really pushing it, and you get popped on the scale. Like, first of all, you always have your truck nice and clean. You always shave, take shower, kind of like, you gotta look sharp. And then you walk into that scale, man, you can be so behind the schedule and so worked up and so late. You gotta do that slow walk in with a smile on your face and act all happy, and like there is nothing there that's pushing you anywhere, and you're happy, you're rested, you can be tired as much as you want, at least act happy and rested. And be clean, have a nice clean truck. For the most part, we're just going to look at your books. If you have all the paperwork together, there is going to be no really reason for them to ask you questions. Because when you give them the whole book, we go for a book, okay, the registration, if this, that, everything there. All right, thank you. Now, if you come in with a pile of paper, we're not going to be digging for that pile of paper. We're going to ask you, give me registration.
Yeah. And I feel that, like, once that happens and now they're trying to dig through it to find it, they now have time and they reason to really start walking around your truck, where it could have maybe just stopped right there.
Yep.
They could have said, all right, everything looks good, keep on trucking. But now they're just this guy.
No, absolutely.
Go,
and look, like, it's a normal human behavior. Just be nice, be presentable, and be easy. Don't leave them any extra time and options to kind of mess with you.
Yeah.
I think another important thing is know what your paperwork looks like. Like if they're asking you for your registration, make sure you educate yourself and make sure you know what your registration looks like, your insurance card, your IFTA. Make sure that you know what they're asking for and what it looks like. Because if not, you're giving them time, like you said.
Yeah, and look, like just like everybody else, the officer maybe maybe he had a rough night last night or somewhat whatever, right? And now he is just like, oh man, and now this freaking guy. And now he doesn't know anything.
No, but literally.
And now his truck.
And literally, they're like, hey, can you trailer registration?
Yeah.
It's like giving you a Kung Fu Panda menu takeout.
Yeah,
You're like, oh my god, like so that just gives them more of a reason, man. And it's so you're right. Keep everything organized. So that does go a long way. We also got to visit in the inside of that scale house, which was pretty cool. So we were behind the tinted glass, 007 stuff in there.
Checking trucks out.
Is very high tech. They're even talking about putting, let's say, further up the road mile markers before you hit the scale house, infrared. Mm-hmm. And what these things were going to do, as you're driving by, it's measuring irregularities in tires and just heat. Mm-hmm. So, for example, let's say you did have a flat. So as you zoom by, there's going to be a irregular reading, not so much on the flat, but on the tire next to it because it's going to run hot because the one.
So it's gonna look different in the infrared picture. Yeah.
So they're already going to say, "Hey, come on in. We don't know exactly what's wrong, but there's definitely something wrong. So why don't we take a look at it?" So they're definitely like there's some technology that's going to hit there that's going to maybe what was escapable before no longer will be in the near future.
No, but at the same time, like the little thing, like look at your equipment, right? Take it to a truck wash. Walk around before you start the trip. Kick some tires. Check if there is any irregularities yourself, so we don't have to point it to you.
Yeah.
And then don't think that I'll do it next time, because I get it. There are certain things as an owner operator you may not necessarily want to do it right there and then, because some things are not critical. Some things are not exactly not necessarily illegal right away. But if you pay attention to your equipment, you're going to know a lot sooner than later that something is coming to an end. And then you can plan accordingly. You go home, then you take care of that problem, and then that's it. And you're good to go. But if you never walk around your equipment.
Yeah, but even so for those who didn't see it, or we'll put it up somehow, some way. But in the video, there was this lady who got put out of service, and there's the band showing on the tire, so there's wire exposed. Our program here, there's no need for that, because about 4 weeks ago, before that can even happen, that would have been a simple picture over to the safety team. Let's get the tire replaced. Whether we did it here or on the road, that's not the point. The point would have been like, how does it escalate to that point where that didn't happen the day before? You see what I'm saying? So a lot of this stuff is just preventable, but it gets lost, man. It just kind of like you hopping in the truck and
it's
pushing
it's negligence, it's laziness, it's somewhat, to a degree, it's also somewhat a culture, because how many times we've seen those drivers, coming across just to talk to us or whatnot, and the equipment that's so beat up that's like beyond the recognition.
You're right, because also out of the people that we saw, like 6 trucks or whatever it was, there was a few trucks that the ones who had the major issues, were pretty much the same. Like it wasn't like that was the only thing that was wrong with that. I mean, she couldn't give you a permit book. She couldn't give you
permit book, medical card, different things like that.
So yeah, you're right. That not being organized transpires from inside to the outside.
And another thing with the tire thing that you said, so it's also a money aspect. It's going to cost you so much more money to get someone to do like a service call than it is like if you were just seen it at the truck stop that morning and you're like, hey, I need a tire, instead of now you got to spend money on the service call and the tire, and like it's just.
And you get the record, and it's there, and now it affects you anywhere you go, because next time you pull on the scale, we look up at your record and we're like, okay, that's the same person that had a wire showing up on the tire last time. Let's go check it out. So it's no longer just let me see your registration and IFTA and get the hell out of there. No. It's well, just see what's up now.
Because they know your behavior.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so let me tell you, to piggyback on that, it's 2022. So it was interesting because the guy that didn't have a medical card, he got a violation. He did not get put out of service. The reason he didn't was because they track how many times that has happened, because they know if you go to the chiropractor or wherever to get your medical card and that person didn't send it into Florida, or you didn't send it in, or you did but they're kind of behind, they're allowing that grace period where it was a violation. But anytime that it's more than 2, that's like you're put out of service, because that's like you're free, not free because you're getting a violation, but it's all recorded, man. It's all been done.
It's all there. As a matter of fact, like obviously not everybody can be as good as me, but
Well, and like the fact that some guys think like just because you didn't get a ticket, there's no record of it, and that's crazy. Like there's a record. If you're stopped, there's a record of it somewhere, and they're going to be able to see it, and then it's just your behavior at that point.
Yeah.
And literally, I personally like got stopped multiple times, and like. Multiple times I was told that we would pay driver license registration, you hand them that and we check it out and punch it in the computer and like, so all right, perfect driver.
So there you go. Even that with the technology of like what you said, so what they're doing is like, let's say you roll through a scale house, right, in Florida, you roll through that scale house, the new infrared stuff, the way it's going to work is, let's say for whatever reason they stopped you because of the dimension and you got an overweight permit or oversized and it's okay, and now you keep rolling. The system knows already that as long as you pass the next scale house electronically, but it times it where there wasn't enough time for you to make a stop and delivery. Where if there was enough time to make a stop and delivery, it's going to pull you back in and not let you keep going. So I mean, it's getting there, man. They know a lot. It's technology. There is the human factor to it. We got to talk to one of the troopers over there. He's actually talking to the whole group, and had some interesting stuff. Like as far as these guys have to. They got quotas, like because
quotas are true.
Yeah, because but think about it. If you're making a stop, you only can judge someone's, if they're being productive, because there's violations out there. Think about it. We stopped 6 people, and everybody had something. It's not like we had to make it up. It was there. So now these guys have to hit a quota. So there you have it. They're going to be looking, and they're going to find something if you have something.
Yeah, like I think quotas are bad. But hey, as long as there is plenty of free material to work with, and it's easy to meet those quotas, then it's not a problem for good guys. But if you think about it, I'm a somewhat believer in that perfect society that could function without the cops. and what then? Like if everybody is just seriously, safety conscious, and we take care of their equipment, and at some point, for the DOT guys to meet the quotas. What then? We're gonna have to walk around and start, picking on stuff and coming up with issues. Because let me tell you another example. And that's also going to be connected to why your attitude is extremely important. You can have, let's say, you get popped on a scale and there is an issue with one of your tires. Let's say it's flat, right? And you get a violation. Oh, flat tire, boom, 1 violation. However, you can get another, 5 violations for that same 1 flat tire. And then it goes out of control. And that's why, attitude plays a big role as well. And if somebody needs to meet a quota and you have a crappy attitude and you only have one little thing, we can take it out of proportion.
Well, I mean, let's just run through these numbers real quick. Let's say I inspect 5 trucks and find a violation on each one. I find violations 100% of the time. So my boss thinks, hey man, Christian's pretty busy. He's out there. He's pretty badass. He finds everything.
Or he's picking on people.
Or now I do an inspection on 10 guys, and the next 5 are clean. Now my productivity is 50%. So that's why I see you too, where like the incentivized. Now I'm not that badass. I'm like,
now you have to find something.
Now I'm just an ass.
Yeah. Yes.
All right. So that was pretty interesting. Any other takeaways you had or mentions from the inside?
Pretty much just like check your equipment, do your pre-trips, make sure you're not costing you or your company any money, and be organized and know what your documentation looks like.
Oh yeah, man, another one. I don't know if it make this video too long, but someone in there was commenting to get, how can I send my guys for a voluntary inspection? Not a voluntary, like to get inspected. Mm-hmm. So I guess the company has some bad inspections, so they're saying let's offset that by getting a lot more good ones. So I guess, do you really want to make the phone call? And for those guys who have fleet drivers out there and stuff, would you tell your guys, hey, when you get the scale, stop and ask for one?
I know some companies that actually has that in their policy. I know some companies that actually does it.
Really?
I know some drivers that have done it, but I wouldn't be one of these drivers. Even, like my equipment was always on spot. Nope, I'm not gonna go ask for inspections for the same reason, for that quota thing. Because now, man, like
Last day of the month.
it's one of those things. Like if you're getting a green light, get the hell out of there, man. Like don't be this
Yeah.
don't be the slow kid, man. Just be the fast one. Get the hell out of there.
Just meeting quotas, man. Like, yeah, I agree. That would be me, man. My like to be like, let's go, Mr. Latino.
Yeah, but at the same time, like, look, it's and look, that's a very good point, because like I actually talked to like quite a few drivers, man. Man, how the hell every time you get pulled into the scale and we check you, there is always something, even like a little thing. Oh man, because I'm black, or oh man, because I'm one guy was like really good driver, but always like those form and manner issues. Oh, because I'm Romanian and we pick on my accent and stuff like that. Man, I was called Russian, Polish, like you freaking name it, like whatever. It was never a problem. Never. Literally, freaking nobody ever picked on me because I'm some kind of like, imported specimen.
Commodity.
So it was never a problem. So just get that out of your head. It's not that. It's not that. Just, it really starts with you for the most part. I met some asshole DOT officers in my life. A very, very few, to tell you the truth. But I've met, while being on the scales as a driver capacity, right? I've met a lot more problematic drivers that even me as a driver, I thought for myself, man, that shit is going to cost you now.
That, and that's what's real, because I've done the program twice already. And even on the second time, I find it to be the same. And I don't know, how do you feel, Caitlin? Like, once you see like this bad experience with the first driver, it's almost setting the tone for the day, because now the next guy, you're almost expecting already, like, man, come on, look, let me find out everything that's wrong. If we are just first day doing this, we're feeling that way. Imagine, and by the way, I didn't give any violations out. That's not what we did, but imagine that's what you did for a living and you're that cop. They become desensitized. So you have to know that they're just gonna, they've heard it all. They've seen it,
And I believe that because of that, no matter how much you desensitized, you will get desensitized to that bad, negative behavior.
Yeah.
But once you're gonna see that guy who knows his stuff, his attitude is in check, and he's just pleasant to deal with.
It's refreshing.
It's refreshing, and you're just gonna. Man, like that's not your guy to mess with. There is gonna be another piece of crap that you're gonna
right behind him. So you're probably like, go ahead, bro. I want him now.
Yeah. So being a professional driver with a good attitude and nice, good, clean equipment is always gonna help you out.
Oh yeah, for sure. Because if you're that guy that's like, yes, officer, here's everything. Have a good day. Like, it's gonna go a lot smoother for you than if you're like, what do you want? Like, that's not the guy you want to be.
Yeah. Because then, like, we're gonna show you what we want.
Yeah.
And then you're not gonna like it. They're gonna.
Yeah, man. So, all right. So that's the recap of our visit. It was actually, I think, it's a pretty good program. It opens up perspective for a lot of people who've never actually seen it, and kind of everything you deal with safety. It helps. I hope it helps connect everything that you do on a daily basis with what goes on out there.
Oh yeah, for sure. I definitely seen a lot of things and learned a lot of things, but I feel like we're doing a pretty kick-ass job as far as us. So
there you go.
Here we go.
I'm doing kick-ass, Mike.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So be safe. Double check your permit books. Make sure everything is in order. Learn how to identify everything that's in there as well, so that doesn't become a problem either.
Yeah. If you, for example, if you work with us as an owner operator capacity, always, and you don't quite understand what is what, always feel free to call us, talk to Caitlin, swing by, Christian, bring your book. We will explain you every little thing in that book, because I think it's very, very beneficial for you to really understand what we're asking for and what's needed for a good, nice, easy inspection in and out.
Nope.
Yeah, and just a little tip, like if you can't remember like what paperwork looks like, just label it. There's no rule saying you can't just put a sticky note in there. This is this.
As a matter of fact, like, don't even worry about no sticky note. Write it down right on that document.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There is no rule saying like can't be no handwriting. Just write it. Registration.
Because even that. So one of the young ladies there was talking about that, and she was like, I no longer take permit books because my experience is the guy hands you over a pile of shit that you got to start digging through, and things are dirty. And she's like, no. You find it, I'll be back. because it became her experience. So if you hand over that clean book and it sets the tone for what's about to happen next. So
Yes, because let me tell you, a long time ago, I had a driver that got popped for no registration. And that's not something that's ever happens here. Like, there is no driver without a registration out there anywhere.
Right.
It's always with registration.
yeah.
So the guy gets popped for no registration. As a matter of fact, it really depends on the situation, I guess, on the officer or whatnot. But the problem is that if you have no registration, you can get impounded. It's a very, very large ticket. It's a very, very large problem. Maybe larger than you can handle. So, but at the end of the day, it's just no registration. So the guy comes back to the yard. I'm like, hey, what happened there? He's like, man, I just couldn't find it. And I'm like, all right, bring me everything you have in the truck. He brought me a pile of paperwork, even though we always hand them the book.
Right.
A nice, clean book, just with what we need. That's also a problem because when the driver starts taking the thing out of there, and then we don't put it back in.
Right.
So in that pile of paperwork, I was able to find 5 registrations for that truck.
Goodness.
5 copies of the same registration. It was in that pile, but obviously nobody dug through it.
Or he didn't know what it looked like.
That's also a good point, yeah.
Yeah.
And here we go. You get now no registration. And, sucks to be you.
Yep. So again, not right. We're not saying is right. We're not saying is wrong. What's going on scale houses. We're just sharing what our experience was, what we saw, and hope it helps. And hope it helps connect dots.
And as a matter of fact, guys, if you are in Florida or in Central Florida, anywhere like not far away from Lakeland or anywhere around here, and looking for a good company to partner up with, if you're an owner operator or looking to become an owner operator, and the company that you're with is just not cutting it, give us a call.
Yep, 863-342-5171.
Yeah, and we'll get you a nice, clean, file and book and everything else, all bells and whistles, brand new trailers with good tires, no wires showing up, and you're going to be flying through those scales like what is no tomorrow.
There you go. And so, hey, bring your permit book. Caitlin will reorganize it while you sit down and apply with me.
Yep.
All right, guys, take care.
All right, guys.